All right. Call today's meeting to order. It's the April 10th, 2026 meeting of the Riel Community Committee. My name is Brian Mays. I'm the City Councilor for St. Vital Ward. I'll be chairing today's meeting, joined by my colleagues, Matt Allard from St. Boniface Ward and Marcus Chambers from St. Norbert, St. River Ward. And morale is sky high here because we have back with us our longtime clerk, back from a leave. It's Rebecca Ford back with us. So delighted to have you back. Very capable replacements while you were gone, but delighted to have you back with us, Rebecca. So
Thank you.
make sure we get all sorts of interesting procedural and bilingual questions going. I'll do the land acknowledgement, and then I think we actually have an unusually long list of delegations today. So I'd like to acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. Councillor Allard, I know, has a conflict on item 1, but I think first we'll hear the delegations.
Certainly. Could I also ask for a motion to approve our minutes from February 20th?
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Allard. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary, that's carried. And we've got city staff standing by to deal with questions on a number of these items. I think at a minimum, item 2 and item 5. I know I have questions on that. So, we're joined by other city staff here. Yeah, I guess on to delegations.
Sounds good, Mr. Chair. All right, so first up in delegations on report number 7, the opening of a part of 750 Marion Street, we have Megan Bowles. If you'd like to come down. Megan has submitted a presentation. It's attached on the agenda to item number 7.
And we have our real property officer here with us for the first time for a hearing, so welcome to Danielle's if there are questions arising on this one.
Share the screen here, or?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Oh.
Fire away.
Good morning, Chairperson Mays, Councillor Lard, Councillor Chambers, and members of the Winnipeg Public Service. I'm Megan Bowles, Registered Professional Planner with WSP and representing the developer of the public markets lands, Alexa Development Holdings. I'm here today as a delegation to provide some additional information on our application for a road opening at 750 Marion Street. In 2021, Council approved a subdivision and rezoning application as part of that approval, Alexa entered into a development agreement with the city. One of the conditions requires improvements to Marion Street, including a median, turn lanes, and a sidewalk. 0.12 acres of 750 Marion Street is needed to facilitate the necessary road widening associated with the public market subdivision. The proposed road opening impacts the property at 750 Marion, which is currently an access storage site, and authorization to proceed has been provided by the landowner. And upon approval and registration, that little triangle portion of the property will be converted into Marion Street's public right-of-way, and the access storage site will still meet the front yard setback requirements of 25 feet from the new property line. I've reviewed the administrative report and appreciate the recommended approval. I agree that the road opening aligns with our Winnipeg, specifically Objective 2 under Goal 2, which requires the integration of land use, transportation, and infrastructure planning and investments. The conditions identified in the administrative report, including the preparation of a plan and accommodation of any required easements, are standard and straightforward, and we don't have any concerns with them. As for an update on the development, our team is in the process of setting up pre-construction meetings with the contractor and the city in anticipation of construction beginning later this spring. I'm available to answer any questions.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. Councilor Mace, through you to the presentation. Wanted to, well, just hear, are you in favor of the administrative report today?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, from the look of it, it's a long, narrow triangle. I mean, the total amount of square footage in question here can't be that. I mean, unless it's a scale thing. Like, do we have any idea? Is that?
It's around 5,000 square feet, 0.12 acres.
But at a width of a couple of hundred, maybe our real property officer could weigh in on that if she cares to. Is this, so it's, I mean, at its widest, it looks like it's only.
It's like 6 feet, and then this one is like 5,000.
Yeah, okay, that's the question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? No? Okay. Thank you.
Next in delegation on the same item, report number 7, Robert Scaletta.
Actually, I don't need to speak. I just was here for more of a support, and if there's any questions that need to be asked. Just for the road widening, so don't need to waste anyone more time on a Good Friday, or on a Good Friday, a nice sunny
It's
day.
Orthodox Good
Yeah,
Friday.
Nice sunny Friday, and the Masters is on.
Can you repeat that? Your mic wasn't on at the beginning.
Oh, sorry, I don't need to make a presentation. I was here for support, and just for any questions that need to be asked about that road widening.
Question for me to the delegation. Thank you for being here, and wanted to ensure or hear from you that you are supportive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving along, we have some folks registered for report 10, the plan approval for Daisy Venance. We have David Hill joining us via Zoom. I'm just going to ask you to start the video. Hello there, Mr. Hill. You're now live with the committee. Hi, David. Are you interested in addressing the committee on the plan approval item? Live with the committee.
Hi there, it's David Hill. I'm with Qualico Street Side, and I'm here mainly to answer questions about our proposal for a low-rise.
David, are you interested in addressing the committee on the plan approval item?
Uh-oh.
David, could I get you to turn off the YouTube
Yeah,
stream?
I'm
There's-
having some trouble. David Hill, I'm with Qualico Street Side, and I'm here.
There's a delay. Can I get you to turn off the YouTube stream?
Oh, hi. Sorry, I have some technical issues here. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you. So this is somewhat odd business that we've got the plan approval and the variance, and the plan approval, the plan approval is contingent on the variance. And I guess you'd be eligible to speak to the variance when we get to that in 45 minutes or so. But anything of note on the plan approval?
David, are you getting our audio?
I'm getting out. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm just here mainly to answer questions about our low-rise townhome project proposed for La France and Hyversnot. I think most of the members they're familiar with the plan, but I'm here mainly to answer questions about the proposal for the townhomes on Hyversnot. We have two variances for setbacks, building setbacks, which align with the other commercial buildings in the area and the planning protocol. So if there is questions about the development, I'm happy to address them now.
Yeah, it's Brian Mays here. This is in my ward. Two things. Number one, is this is just condo or apartments? It's not, we've had a lot of commendable development recently in Sage Creek for 55 plus, or in fact, there's like the whole seniors building now that's north of Sage Creek Boulevard, but
Yeah.
is this just, is this apartment or condo?
These are the townhomes. There's, my colleagues have a commercial condo development on the corner of Sage Creek Boulevard and Hivers Knot. We're slightly south of there at La France, so these are two different projects, and our plan approval is strictly for the townhomes only. I think the plan approval for the commercial development will be coming up in the near future, but I'm here today just regarding the low-rise townhomes, just immediately south of that project.
Okay, so it's owner occupied, it's not rental then?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's condominiums.
Second question, and I don't need an answer today, but I would like an answer maybe within a week, and maybe this is more a Qualico Brian Ward question, but I'm going to ask it for you. If you could get to me the total number of units as of today, let's say, or April 1st, that are occupied in Sage Creek. I'm incredibly weary of coming into council meetings and being told about there's another ward where it's bigger population than Brandon, and my God, we have to put in tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. This ward's bigger than Brandon. It is bigger than Brandon. This is a development area too. There's growth in the southeast. So I'm pretty sure it's about 5,200 doors between Bonavista and Sage Creek. But if you could get me, and you don't need to answer the Bonavista bit, but if you can get me, as of today, how many units are there occupied in Sage Creek? That would be useful.
I will definitely talk to Brian Ward about that and get those numbers to you.
Very good. Thank you. I think those are all the questions on the plan approval. So we'll see you back, I assume, in 45 minutes or so on the variance.
Correct.
Okay.
David, is Paige West with you?
Yeah, she's just joining me in a different office, but I can have her join me when the variance application is addressed.
Okay, no problem. We just had her also registered in case she would like to speak in delegation on report 10, but then we'll just move along. Next up in delegation, we have Mr. John Winthrop in the gallery to be speaking on report number 6. That's the petition results of the local improvement. And report number 2, the extension of time on the subdivision on Moore Avenue.
I do have a presentation.
Mr. Winthrop's presentation has also been included in as a submission in the agenda.
I note that I owe Mr. Winthrop a phone call on the issue of indemnification, but I need not. We need not get into that just yet. We'll have to, perhaps later today, we can speak.
Talk today about gravel lanes, your other favorite topic. If I can get this to share. Second here. Okay, I'm having problems.
I can probably do the
This is about the
presentation.
third city computer I've been at this week that's different, and they're all different. Yeah, one of the sometimes.
You guys all here on the Sage Creek thing? Or?
I'm here for the gravel lane. I'm going to talk first about the gravel lane in St. Boniface, but then I'll talk about the other thing. I'm today here for item 6 for the petition results of the proposed asphalt concrete lane pavement local improvement. It's a north-south lane west of Lajmoide Boulevard between Brussels and Marion Street, north of Marion Street. It's in the Holden neighborhood.
Holden neighborhood.
Yes. That has a policy in our Winnipeg, specifically this neighborhood, that you can't do single-family, two-family development. I believe it's the only neighborhood with that policy. Part of these lands on the east side and the northwest are abut this lane, but the parcel on the west side, south side don't. These were the owners that I thought I had talked to, that I thought had signed the petition. I did this petition twice. I did it last summer, and then one of the lands, actually my client, ended up buying the lands. And then when I handed in the petition, they were like, I have to redo it again. The only people who are out there are essentially Marion Auto Body, the owners of the Marion Auto Body, a lovely couple. They own, one of their businesses owns one of the land. They personally, I believe, own a couple of the lands. Then the wife owns the land. So it was really easy for me to talk to my client who owns most of the land. I'll get into that second. So I went there, got the petition handed in, thought it was good. Then they said, well, there's a land change here. You have to redo the petition. Easy enough for me to go out there again and talk to the person. The one property owner who did not sign the petition, I talked to multiple times last summer. They rent that property out. They live in a nice house in Chanscona. They never said no to it, but they were just never agreeable. One of the problems or the challenges was the new regulations with our Winnipeg. They own a house. They can't really do anything more with it other than having a house because of the restrictions. So I'll walk you through this back lane. I'm sure you've driven by it many times. It's right where the Marion Auto Body shop is. It starts off with gravel. There's one house that's owned by the couple who own Marion Auto Body. It's gravel. I'm not sure if anyone lives in the house. This is a view of the gravel back lane. I took pictures last summer of this. That's the house of the people who own it and live in Chanscona. They rent it out. A nice gentleman living there. Looking north, going down the back lane, continuing on, whoops, going the other way, there we go. This is my client's land. It's the vacant land right on the corner of Brussels and Lajmoide and this back lane. I'll get into exactly what we're gonna do there shortly. This is looking from Brussels south. Some work was done in Brussels last year. I think it's chip seal or something like that. There was city crews out there last fall that people thought that was what the local improvement was for, because I had other residents calling me, and I corrected them, said, no, I believe that's a city, maybe the ward councillor did something. I did contact 311 asking them like what that work was for. Fairness to 311, they haven't gotten back to me, and I'm not sure how important it is, but some work was going on that road. It wasn't related to the local improvement as much as everybody thought it was in the neighborhood. So what I did was last year I consolidated the lots here, lot 1 at 888 Lajmoide through a short form subdivision, and then I also secured a conditional use and variances for a new daycare, a brand new daycare, which is a conditional use in R2 zoning. I think this is a great location for the daycare. We're gonna have fencing, protection, a playground. So we're gonna take this vacant piece of land that's been for sale for, I remember getting phone calls on this like 20 years ago when I was at City Winnipeg. So something will go on these pieces of land. But the owners, as well as the people who own Marion Auto Body, would like to see that back lane improved from gravel, because everyone drives down Brussels and then turns onto the gravel back lane to get to Marion. It's essentially a through street. So again, I went and did the petition back in February of this year, talked to the 3 people who essentially own most of the land. I thought I had signed it correctly, but there might have been a mistake on the petition. For some reason, it came in at only 52%. I can't explain it. I talked to all the owners. Only one person who owns, I think, the house was just not on side, but wasn't really against it. That's my presentation. So I'm looking today is to move forward with this changing this gravel back lane from gravel to concrete to allow this wonderful daycare to go forward. I have the approval for the daycare in place for the conditional uses and the variances. The site was posted. I talked to the neighbors. They were fine with it. They were looking to see the other neighbors who don't touch this lane were actually welcoming the idea of having it upgraded to pavement, because they drive down it all the time to get to Marion Street as well. I think that the daycare use would be very positive for the area. There's a very much need for daycare spaces. So I'm looking for support for the gravel back lane.
I believe Mr. Winthrop had another item that he was looking to speak on as well.
Do we want questions on this one first?
I think we should allow both presentations before questions.
Questions after?
I
Sure.
think so.
Okay.
On the Moore one, I don't know what to say on that one. Counselor, I've been at that one for
I
a
could
couple
do the
years.
presentation if you'd like.
Yeah, I don't have a fancy presentation for that one. That one, we rezoned a couple years ago. I've been in dialogue with real estate. The owners or the potential purchasers met with real estate. The requirement there is Public Works wants the portion of the lane where the 2 new houses would go converted to concrete. The financial numbers are simply not working, can convert that portion and that amount of the back lane to concrete for 2 houses. Even at 3 houses, the numbers are like, it doesn't work. We went to Public Works, asked them if they would change their requirement. The answer is no. I tried multiple times to contact people who lived on that block. I actually had at one point 2 different people agree to sponsor me in the petition, and then they sold their houses. So I've tried to do a local improvement petition in there. I don't know anybody on that block right now who I can approach who would sponsor me to do a local improvement petition along that block. This is one I will readily admit I don't have a solution, and I don't know how to move this thing forward. I really just don't have a solution on that. That's about all I can say on that one, Councillor Mays. The numbers are just not going to work with a concrete back lane and 2 houses on there, or not even 3. The rules, interestingly enough, could allow like 2 duplexes now on gravel lanes instead of houses, but even though the numbers are just not going to work with a concrete back lane working there. But I understand the standards. I think pavement, I've said multiple times, is important for public lanes, not gravel. I think that's the sufficient standard. I think the development industry and the owner should pay for that. That's why I do these local improvements where I volunteer my time to help bring this thing forward. I don't have a solution on that one. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about it, though.
Do you want to?
Yes, so Mr. Chair, through you to Mr. Winthrop. Want to ensure we're talking about report number 6.
Yep.
And that you are asking us to not concur with public service recommendation at 52% approval and move forward on the asphaltic lane upgrade. I think I'm prepared to do that. We've done that before. So yeah, just confirmation. We're talking about report 6 and that you're looking to pave the lane.
Yeah, the owners definitely want to do this daycare. The neighbors, the property owners adjacent to it do it. Again, when they signed the petition, it might have been an error. I know if you used the wrong color ink. Unfortunately, with these petitions, in fairness to the local improvement clerk, does a wonderful job. I do have to thank them. They do an excellent job in customer service there to walk me through these things. The one thing is that they never tell me afterwards, oh, by the way, here's what the results. And if this one signature is ineligible or written in pencil or something like that, you can't come in and change it and clean it up or something like that. So then when I read the report, I knew something probably had gone wrong with petition because I only had like 3 people to sign it. But if you ever look at these petitions, they're actually quite complex to look at, very difficult to figure out where to sign your name. But I believe a lot of the adjacent owners really want to see this converted and are willing to pay their share.
Thank you, Councillor Mays, through you to Mr. Winthrop. So you're saying there's actually more than 52% support?
Yeah. I just don't know if there was an error written on the petition. I had, like I said, the majority of the landowners, Marion Autobody, who owns most of the land along there, and then my client with his chunk of land. So Marion Autobody is on the west side, and then their offices are Zone C2 on the east side, and they own property, the other property as well. And then my client purchased a good chunk of the land, so that's why again, it might have just been how the form was filled out, but those folks were really wanting to have the local improvement. I thought I was going to get 100%, but the one resident who rents their property out just never committed to it. But they never committed one way or the other.
So just a final question from the comments made. I don't think we have a a formal mechanism to have somebody pay for somebody else's improvements. So are you saying that that's something that would happen outside of this process?
No, I'm saying that we'd like to see the local improvement petition go forward. We'd like to convert that gravel back lane to asphalt, and the owners will pay, you'll have to advertise it. If somebody is against this petition, they will get their own petition to come out and be really against it. We just did this on Inman, where I had, I think, 60-something%. And then nobody came out with a greater number to say we're against this. I believe there wouldn't be a greater number to come out against this. So there's still the mechanism of this being advertised for opposition who own property along this lane can come out and be against it.
So just one last question. So this would be paved with everyone having their relative apportionment relative to the job being done, correct?
Yeah,
I think you threw me off a little bit with the thing of you're going to be paying for other people's lane?
No,
Something like that?
we're paying our proportionate share.
Their proportionate share, okay.
Yeah, so if
That's
I own
normal.
25 feet along that lane, I'm only paying my 25 feet.
Okay.
If somebody owns 75 feet, they're paying for 75 feet. It's the levy is on against, or you can pay it all up front at 10 years, but is on a linear foot basis. That's how the city will charge it.
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, thank you. A couple of questions. Just on number 6, I would say that the 4 people in this city who enjoy a good gravel lane debate the most, the 4 people are probably the 3 of us, and we have Tim Austin here. So if we have questions for Tim, we can have him come down on number 6, this is. And might want to confirm that we certainly have, at least once in the past, gone through with, it was between 50 and 60. It was on I want to say West Fernwood and Bronstone, but maybe Tim can confirm that if he can remember. But this isn't with, we've done this before where, and because the control is, if you don't like it, take out the counter petition and get your 60%.
At least 3 of the other ones, because I remember being for when we were doing Inman around that time, there was Firm Rank or something like that. I've had a couple where they were just under 60% in the 50% tile range. And then you guys passed another motion that went to council to say, let's advertise this.
You're right about that. Holden does have its own page in our Winnipeg, which the only reason I've heard of it, I think, is because of that. That there are some limits on chip seal streets and development, but we don't need to go down that path today. Okay, on the Moore Avenue thing, I'll be speaking to it. I appreciate you straightforward comments. But I remember Mike Pagdigan once saying, I'm a patient man and I've run out of patience with this, and that's about my view on this one. So.
Yeah, I would share your view. I'm trying to figure out a solution to do something here, and I just can't find something that will, and I've tried a number of different courses to see something, because I think some housing on some vacant land would be ideal. It's just the economics are not working for the requirements. I believe a requirement should be needed there. I know, talking to Gord, he might have some other ideas of how this could move forward in the future. It's up to whether the city of Winnipeg wants to keep the DHZ around, but kind of the current situations is I can't see the landowner wanting to keep moving forward unless something else like changes, and I can't find another change, and something more creative than what I've been able to find here. I leave it to somebody else to figure it out maybe, but I'm always willing to provide information.
I appreciate
and answer questions.
you have tried on this one, and I appreciate that. Okay, if there are no further questions, good. Thank you, Mr. Winthrop. That's it for delegations, unless
Yeah, that concludes our
Page
rest
West is
delegations.
delegating. No. Okay. So, Councillor Elliott, I think we've hit the point here. That's a lot of delegations. This is the,
Right, item number 1 is a community incentive grant for Le Petit Bonheur.
and this was being delayed. We've been delayed because we wanted to make sure that the 2026 CIGP funding had been received, right?
Well, I was looking at some January charts, and it looks like it's all in place, but
Good,
maybe
all right.
community services would be better to speak to that. I was concerned about the amount requested in this application versus what the counselor had available.
I'm not laying it over. Do you want to take the chair?
Sure.
I'll move the full allocation here. We've laid this over enough times.
I am concerned that Counselor Allard might not have enough to grant it.
What's the total amount?
We got about 69 grand in CIGP
Oh, 270.
for 2026, if memory serves.
Yeah, that's correct, and there's some remnants from the year prior.
Nice use of remnants.
I don't know if maybe the idea would be to have multiple accounts fund it, or,
I'll move, based on that caution, he's got at least 69 then, right? Okay, I'll move 69, I'll move his 2026 allocation of 69. I'll move 69,000, I think that's the 2026 allocation.
Is it the 69,857? Oh, no, that's federal.
I'm just going off what each ward I thought got 69. My high-tech data
I
collection
believe
system here.
that sounds right, and they're,
Okay. So I'll call the question.
Sounds good to me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'm just making sure we're clear here that the recommendation of the public service be concurred in, but we have an amendment that we will award 69,000 from Councillor Allard's ward. I don't believe that is out of line with criteria. It's still below a certain
Yeah.
funding limit for the city, so it would not need to proceed to a higher committee. Okay.
If we just stalled a bit more, Councillor Allard's conflict might have aged out, but whatever. We have approved 69,000 then. On to number 2, if we can call in,
Allard, want to call him back?
there's Gord.
Hey, councillors.
You with you in a second, Gord? Well, a minute perhaps.
In the corner? So we have Councillor Allard back in committee. We're on to number 2, the extension of time for the subdivision at Moore Avenue in the St. Vital ward.
Yeah, I wanted to speak to this. I'm not prepared. I do not support the public service recommendations to extend this any further. You can see it's been a bevy of extensions here. And we see, my thanks to Gord Chappell for responding to various questions of mine on this. Gord, I think my notes from our January meeting, correct me if I'm wrong here, please. The city listed the property for sale, and I could have this wrong. The city listed the property for sale in August of 2020 and sold in June or January of 2021. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Okay. I had been under the impression we sold the land and the purchaser was waiting for either me to leave or economic conditions to get better before proceeding with building. In this, I was wrong. We're on title. We don't have the money still. And I have to say, if what was the term if I held hostage, if I sterilized some piece of land for 4 or 5 years, I would be vilified here. I would be denounced. But we have this bizarre situation where there was a competitive process. Maybe they paid more than they should have, given that they had the paving condition in concrete attached to it. But they're adults here. They put in a bid. We shouldn't let them out of it now. To the credit of real estate, you're not letting them out of it now, because that would be a total breach of the original process. So they've had 5 years to close this thing, almost 5 years. They can't get it done, fine, but the endless extensions, like, let's offer it for sale again in some fashion. Maybe we'll get somebody who'll actually build some housing, which was the goal all along. This is an old, pre-Unicity, this was in place to create a gravel back lane, and that never happened. So you had this weird gap on Moore Avenue for 50-odd years. I talked to Habitat about it at one point. I think I've talked to other would-be purchasers, but we can't just keep stringing this along. So Gord, I don't know if you have any thoughts on or Mr. Chair, if I can ask Mr. Chappell here, any other ways of offering this up for sale or getting this thing moving again?
Yeah, if the extension of time is denied, it still leaves the sale in force. So we'll have to discuss with the purchaser how to move that forward or what actions need to be taken. But if we are able to hit a reset button, it could be worthwhile to look at the sale again and see if there's maybe a different way of packaging this. Public Works, we know, are still going to want the same conditions, but perhaps we could look to see if there's other properties we could lump together with this one in the area that maybe would make it more economically viable to proceed.
Yeah, and I mean, there was the idea of don't have them pave the lane in concrete, have them pave the lane in asphalt, but do the whole lane, not just this little weird stub. That seemed a good win-win to me, but that wasn't what was in the conditions when we sold the thing. So,
correct.
Yeah, good point. I guess the sale isn't vitiated, nullified by us not giving the time of extension, but they'd have to come back again for another rezoning. They just would have squandered. Okay, so thank you for that. Thanks for your work on this. I'll move, Madam Clerk, I don't agree with public service recommendations. Is it as simple as that?
So you do not agree, you don't concur with the recommendation of the public service. You would like to deny the extension of time. That recommendation is then forwarded to the Standing Policy Committee.
Okay, I move what Madam Clerk just said. Yes, I do not support the extension of time.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Mays. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary carried.
Thank you.
Councillor Mays, you want to chair back?
Sure. Not infrequently, we get these vacancies on the Library Advisory Committee laid over.
I'll lay over to the next month meeting.
So we are just receiving the resignation as information this time. If you would like to make an appointment, we can have this on the next agenda, or we can put it on the agenda when there is somebody flagged.
Okay, so I move to take this report as information, report number 3.
All those in favor? Aye. Contrary, that's carried.
I would take the chair again, Councillor Mays.
Councillor Chambers has put the work in on number 4 if he wants to go ahead with it. He and his staff have put in more effort on this than I have.
Yes, so this is an honorary street naming for Bob Holliday. Bob was a very respected member of our journalism team. Passed away a few years ago now, 2022, I think it was. And so we did an honorary street naming forum, which has already lapsed. So look, we found a family relative who has agreed to continue on with the honorary street designation. So this is what we're doing here now. Extension.
Yeah, so,
So I move extension of the honorary street naming for Bob Holliday.
thanks, and thanks to your staff for following up on this. Call the question then, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary, that's carried. And now the highlight of the meeting, the discussion of city play structures with, there's Mr. Domke coming in out of the bullpen. So this is a motion that I had made to get a report on where there are city-maintained play structures, either on school properties or adjacent to school properties. In the interim, and very quick preparation of this report, my thanks to Dave and staff. In the interim, the province, to its credit, has announced any new school, K-8, gets a play structure, period. Hopefully retroactive to Sweep and Sage Creek, but I'm dealing with that. And B, they're setting up a $3 million fund, and I don't think there are any details beyond that. That was in the budget. So is it $3 million a year? Is it 50,000? We don't know, but hey, it's big progress on this. So, Dave, can you speak to the very detailed report you've got here?
Thanks, Councillor, or Mr. Chairman, in this particular case. I have with me JP Perot, who's our Parks Investment Strategies Coordinator, and he's kind of our data guy. This report is, at the end of the day, it's a bunch of data that's put in a table in Appendix A, and just talks about our play structures in the city. You know, we have 551 playground sites. We have 106 adjacent to schools, because that was one of the questions. Six of these sites are city maintained, and they're on school properties because we have various agreements with them. You know, we also reported that 3% were in poor condition. None are in very poor condition, so we do expect some of any asset mix. We always expect some to be in poor condition. And we have an estimated 188 playground sites on school properties across the city overall. So that's ones that, you know, we picked up just from the aerial photos, and the school maintains those playground sites. So that's kind of the summary of Appendix A on all the detail that's there, and just opening it up for questions.
So I've been working with residents in the Fort Richmond area, the Dalhousie Green Space Initiative, looking at refreshing some areas that haven't been programmed in many years. There are, for the Fort Richmond Collegian, a track, which you know, is limestone, but it's got weeds growing through it. The actual soccer pitch, you know, needs to be upgraded to the extent where there's gopher holes and other issues with the soccer field. There's a outdoor learning space that you know, has not been programmed in many years, and again, weeds are growing through it. Play structure, Dalhousie School, you know, early learning school. Again, the play equipment there, although there is further newer play equipment further towards Kilkenny, the play equipment at Dalhousie School again looks to need some upgrades. In terms of looking at and costing out play equipment, it is quite expensive. I recognize that it's outdoors and it's supposed to last for, you know, upwards of 20 years. And then, you know, staff does go around on a monthly or whatever the schedule is. They go out, they inspect, they make sure that it's safe. But how do we, and again, you know, drawing down provincial dollars, school funds through the school division, how do we better position ourselves to renew play equipment just based on the fact that it's so darn expensive?
Yeah, and it's one of those products too that it outpaces regular inflation. It's like any construction or any other products kind of outpace that. So I'm just agreeing with you that we do that. Really, you know, at the end of the day, it comes down to funding and what we need to be able to do and approve. If we are to look at an asset, we have to look at its entire life cycle. We have to put a plan in place for those assets. Now, with play structures, traditionally, the funding source has been, you know, LDR in some cases, and PrEP funding, and now communities funding. So they're kind of not, from our perspective, from the public services perspective, ideal funding sources, because it doesn't guarantee that that asset will get replaced in a timely manner. We work with the councillors on those other funds, and generally speaking, it works. Because our assets in play structures are in pretty good condition right now, but it's certainly not ideal. So if you are asking me how to do it, we should have a separate budget just for renewing play structures out there, and it should be in a capital budget, and it should be taking care of itself, not having to worry about which play structure we should consult with the councillor on which to maintain or not.
Yeah, it just seems that we're stretched so thin in terms of the need that's out there and the resources that are available to address it. You know, I was able, you know, a couple of years back to do 2 schools between Highbury School and Burland School. But again, you know, I've got schools in Fort Richmond. I've got schools in St. Norbert. I've got schools in River Park South. And just to try to keep up, again, it is a challenge, you know.
And as this report shows, like we have, you know, over 500 play structures in the city. So when you look at it from a global perspective, it's a huge asset that we have to manage, much like any other asset, like roads, you know, water pipes, sewer pipes. It's just another one of those things that requires proper attention. And it is one of the top things, most important safety items that Parks has, you know, kind of trees and play structures. There's highest risk on those assets out there. And we've got excellent funding and support from council on the tree end with the urban forest strategy that's been approved. But the play structure piece is, again, we got to keep our kids safe that are playing on these things. We continue to send people out there. There's certified play inspectors that go every month to look at these things and upgrade them. So we do the best we can with what we've got.
So last question. In terms of play structures that are at end of life cycle, what is the strategy with that? Are they repurposed? Can they be refurbished? You know, and then repurposed for something else lower grade?
Yeah, not really anymore. Yeah, so we're just past that. I'd say within the last 5 years of getting past the wooden play structures that had literally these structures and some of the cribbing around was blowing apart. Like it just rotted out so much, and we're into more metal play structures. Ironically, closer to what we used to have in the 60s, which are still around. But some of those assets are not safe, not considered safe anymore. So every time we have to deal with a new generation, we get a new generation of play structure that's out there. And it has extra safety measures as we go through time, like almost like anything else, right? It's just the way it is. So it's hard to repurpose any of those items.
So don't they use composite materials, you know, in place of wood, so that it doesn't rot?
Now,
quickly?
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for the report, very thorough, very quick. A couple of things. I think I've had this answered already, but the report says there are 6 on school division property. I can find 5 in here, 4 in St. Vital, which was educated. I thought everybody had these. Obviously not. So the 6th one is the one that's on Crown land, I'm
Yes.
assuming is school, okay. There's a school in Transcona Ward, I think Harold Hatcher, where I was told the play structure literally straddles the property line between a park and the school division land. Is that, what's up with that? I guess, is that our play structure, is that their play structure?
Well, it's interesting, you know, a lot of our assets, so we have playing fields that go onto city
Yes,
property and.
Westwood
and
running
park
track,
Property,
you're
and
running
we've
around.
got everything that
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
all over. So, yeah, Harold Hatcher is a little bit unique in that the property line does go right in between. And generally speaking, you know, the rule of thumb, legal rule of thumb, on, you know, those who have the property of it, maintain it. So school division versus us, in Harold Hatcher's case, we are maintaining it even though it straddles the property right now.
Good, okay.
And in fact, we're taking a step further. For some, I'm not sure the reason why, but we're redrawing the property lines to include the play structure. Do you have anything to add on that, JP?
Well, just that there hasn't been an update on that, but that the work has been done to do the mapping and it's being looked at.
Yeah, so we're working with Gord Chappell's group on how to do that.
Oh, okay. So only, and I'm sorry, your colleague is?
JP.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Thank you for your work on this. There are only 2 that are identified as poor, is that right?
Yeah, currently, as of, this is data captured as of January 1st.
And we'll hear from Councillor Sharma since they're both in her ward, so she should be thanking us for
We've been-
requisitioning this.
We've talked to her.
All right. To any, I guess, so we've got a lot that are on properties adjacent to schools. We actually have very few that are on school property that we, the city, maintain. Is that fair?
That's fair. Yeah.
Okay. And the ones that we have that are adjacent to school property are, by and large, in pretty good condition, it sounds like. Okay. Yeah, I think we might wait for the province to make its move on this and then see where we go. Any other conclusions to be drawn from that? I mean, there was some stuff like, it's next to collision, so like, if it's next to a high school, I probably should have put in a better request when I drafted this to say, just give me a school here defined as K to 8, but any other conclusions you would draw from this?
No, we thought the committee might be going in a direction of asking us to maintain those on school property, and we got a little nervous at that because our budgets, we already overspend the budget significantly just doing maintenance, and from my perspective, we're doing it regardless because it's a safety item, you know, whatever the budgets are. So we double spend. You know, we have that $300,000 in the capital budget. We spend $740,000 on safety and maintenance of play structures. So we just got a little nervous that the committee might be asking us to head in a different direction. But, yeah, we appreciate that that doesn't seem to be the case.
It'll help my ward, but actually, I've already done most of these anyway. We've done a new one in Minnetonka at Penner, at Wyatt with Rochelle Squires, to her credit. And so, yeah, it's Darwin in mine, and then the 2 other ones I can ask those councillors. But thank you for the report. Yeah, I think this is very thorough. Okay.
Should I move the report, Councillor Mace?
You should.
Okay, I move the report.
Councillor Eller moves the report be received as information. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That is carried. Thanks to the staff on that. On to the intellectually interesting number 6, asphaltic concrete lane in Councillor Allard's ward. We're joined by Tim Austin, who can perhaps shed light on how this ended up as 52%, not over 60%, as Mr. Winthrop thought.
Good morning. You heard Mr. Winthrop, so I think you're familiar with where the area of the slope improvement is. It ended up at 52% as two property owners did not sign the petition. There's two properties on the west side of the lane. One that's fronts is got a Marion address, the other is Brussels. The person that owns the Brussels property, as Mr. Wintrip said, was neither for or against it. They were silent on the petition, so in our case, that's not for it. The other property is Marion Auto Body. They did not sign the second. You got to sign for each registered property, each parcel. They did not sign the second parcel, so that goes as not for the project. So they're at 52% based on the signatures that are on the petition.
But
That's how we have to calculate it.
Okay.
So we can't go back after it's been submitted to city clerks and it's been submitted to go back and say, we think somebody missed it. It's based on pen to paper.
So for clarity, for clarity, Marion Auto Body person signed the petition, but needed to sign a second time, and that they.
Correct. They didn't turn the page over, it looks like.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay. Councillor Mays, I think I'm ready to, as we've done in the past, not concur in the public service recommendation to not proceed and to move to concur in moving forward with the Concrete Lane Pavement Local Improvement Project number 14202102226. And with the understanding, and perhaps the public service can clarify or can confirm that there is still an option for somebody who would be opposed to run a counter petition. Is that correct?
If I could, and perhaps Mr. Austin could correct me, in looking at the charter, a local improvement may be proposed by council. So my understanding in this case is that we would observe the charter and concur in the recommendation of the public service that we honor this petition and not proceed on the petition, but that council be requested to initiate a local improvement pursuant to that section. Does that sound right, Mr. Austin?
That's absolutely correct. And
that all
we
right?
have done that in the past, once or twice.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what back lanes there are. We've done a lot of back lanes over the last 10 years, so they all kind of blend together. The charter is pretty clear. When the petition doesn't reach 3/5 or 60%, it cannot proceed. So, but there are, as Ms. Ford said, there are two ways to initiate a local improvement, and the other is for a council-approved local improvement, which would go straight to advertising.
Okay, so I move the proposed language from Madam Clerk, which is to take the petition as information and to initiate from council the local improvement.
Understood?
Sounds good. Okay. I'll call the question then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary, that's carried. Yes, thank you. Good. Yeah, we got to get these, we got to get these things paved.
Yeah, start the hearing.
10:30, between 10:30 or 10:59, so we can be conscious of that. I know that item 10, I'm requesting that, or I've requested of the committee that it be considered after the public hearing.
Okay.
So that leaves us with just items 7 through 9.
We got
Okay.
3 more items.
Take a quick break and then start up. All
3
right.
more items.
Yeah. Item 7 then, this is in Councillor Allard's ward. This is the business of the long triangular opening on Marion.
Yeah, I'll move the public service recommendation on that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary, that's carried. Plan approval at 185 Provencher.
I would move the public service recommendation on that as well.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary, that's carried. And the chair to Council Chambers, I've got 475 Wales. This is deck, sunroom?
Yeah, so this is for a sunroom replacing a deck on the rear of a house.
Any concerns with this?
We have no concerns with it, no. There were no variances or anything like that required.
Okay. And it's 10 deep by 13 wide, basically.
Essentially, yeah, 12 feet, 11 inches.
Okay, I'll move, what am I moving here? I'll move the public service recommendation.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I will move to lay over number 10 until after we make a decision on the interrelated variance that we're about to hear. Oh, I'm in the chair here. Can you stay in the chair for the, I'll move to lay this over until after we deal with the variance.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I understood suggestion of a quick break.
Yep, back at 1:45.
All right, so
Aim for that.
for anyone joining us remotely, we're going to recess to host our public hearing at 10:45. Thank you.
Right, we're back. This is the Riel Community Committee, April 10th, 2026 meeting. We are on to our public hearing section of the agenda. Only one item, although we'll then come back and deal with the plan approval on this same piece of property. It's identified as being St. Boniface Ward, which is 7 to 8 years out of date. That's St. Vital Ward. This is the problem whenever we get these French names, people, it's like when Bellevaux, it's in my ward. In any event, so Daisy Vernant is in Sage Creek. This is the same piece of property we heard Mr. Hill speak about an hour ago. Over to you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. I'll get that corrected in the minutes.
No problem.
In accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, the process the committee will follow is that the applicant will be heard first, followed by those in support of the application. Next, those registered in opposition are heard, followed by those registered for information, and then the applicant may return to speak in rebuttal to comments made, but no new information is permitted. Please note that when your name is called, it is your opportunity to speak, but you are not obligated to do so. For a more in-depth overview of the public hearing process and other information pertaining to what happens before, during, and after a public hearing, please consult with the City Clerk's Department website. And please note that all public hearings are recorded and are a part of the public record. Should you have questions after the hearings have concluded, please contact the City Clerk's Department or myself. As Councillor Mays advised, or our Chair advised, item 1 is a variance at Daisy Vernant Boulevard under file DAV 102632-2026D. All participants in the Zoom meeting have been muted, but they will be permitted to speak when called upon. At this point, I would hand it over to the planners to give us an overview, if that's the will.
Sure, just before Mr. Nuttall takes us through here, Ed, if you could remind me, there isn't a rezoning here, but it's a community committee hearing because of the percentages involved, or we're under a secondary plan or something?
It's because under the Development Procedures Bylaw, if a property is rezoned within the last 2 years, the C files get upgraded to a D file and have to be heard by the committee.
Here. All right, good catch. Okay, thank you for that. So we rezoned this obviously in the last.
Yeah, they moved the lot lines around last summer to accommodate this development.
So much of this in Sage, like not upzoning, it's just shuffling. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Madam Clerk.
Good morning, councillors. This subject property is located on Des Hivernants Boulevard near La France Lane in the Sage Creek neighborhood of the St. Vital Ward. The subject site is 4.2 acres in area and is currently a vacant greenfield. The site abuts a vacant field zoned for multifamily development to the north, a Manitoba hydro transmission corridor to the east, a public park to the south, and Des Hivernants Boulevard to the west. The subject site is accessed by an approach from Des Hivernants Boulevard, and under Complete Communities Direction Strategy 2.0, the site is within the recent communities policy area. The property is zoned RMFS, Residential Multifamily Small District. 2 variances are required for the project to proceed, and this file is being heard by the committee today because the property was rezoned within the last 2 years. The applicant intends to construct a condominium development with 10 buildings, each with a total of 10 units for 100 overall dwelling units. Each building is 98 feet long, 65 feet deep, and 27.9 feet in height, and each unit is 2 stories with an unfinished basement. The landscaping requirements mandate a minimum of 433 shrubs and 25 trees. The provided site plan includes 452 shrubs and 62 trees, exceeding the minimum requirements. 160 parking spaces are provided, including 3 standard accessible stalls and 2 van accessible stalls. 15 spaces are designated for visitor parking, and 15 lockable bike spaces are included as well. An alternate equivalent compliance approval is required to permit earth bins instead of the standard wooden garbage enclosures, which is supported by planning. and plan approval is required from the Riel Community Committee for the final plans. The variances are required for a front yard of 13 feet instead of 20 feet and a rear yard of 9 feet instead of 25 feet. Regarding the front yard setback, this development consists of 10 buildings, but only 2 of which directly front Des Hyères Nantes. The requested setback is comparable to the homes on the west side of the street and helps create a pedestrian-oriented quality on the street. Further, the applicant is including landscaping to buffer the buildings from the sidewalk, and for these reasons, the variance is supported. Regarding the rear yard setback, the rear yard abuts a Manitoba Hydro transmission corridor and some community walking paths. So due to the nature of this land use, it is not anticipated that the land will see further development in the foreseeable future. Planning did reach out to Manitoba Hydro for their comments, and they confirmed that the requested rear yard setback would not infringe on their operation of the corridor. For these reasons, the variance is supported. This concludes my summary, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Us who participate in the Run Sage Creek Run, I'm pleased the rear yard setback isn't out into the trail there, but okay, so it's owner occupied, it's not rent, I mean, they're not, it's not 98 townhouses, it's a bunch of buildings, each with townhouse units?
Yeah, so 10 buildings, each one has 10 units, and they're all kind of got their own private door, and they're, disconfigured in a way that they're all just organized, not quite a townhouse style, but doors all around.
Okay, and I can't remember if transit comes up Burning Glass or comes up Des Hyères Nantes, but either way, and it does come along Sage Creek Boulevard, it's either way where
That I'd have to
100
double check.
meters, 100 meters from transit maybe at most. Maybe Hill can speak to that if he's with us. And yeah, if you wanted a site that's near all 3 schools in Sage Creek, this is that site. You could walk to all 3 schools. No issues with traffic, no issues with parking. They're over the top, they're over what they need on parking. No height variance clearly here. How tall are these?
27 feet, I
Okay,
believe.
so we're in under there.
27.9.
What's the business with an alternative equivalence compliance approval? That was granted by staff, by director, like that's not on?
Yeah, exactly. So that is to allow those earth bins that are in ground rather than having the wooden enclosures around a garbage bin.
I guess we should hear from applicant.
Certainly. So we'll open up representations. I still have Mr. Hill with us on Zoom, so I'll just ask you to start your video. We have up to 5 minutes for our presentation.
Oh, hi there. Yeah, just to add a few points. We've got internal parking. None of our parking is visible to the public park. It is on the dry pond where we've got a nice sitting area for the residents facing the dry pond with a seating structure, and we've got some pretty a nice system of walkways through the development, and we think some pretty great landscaping, and I think it's a great addition to that part of the neighborhood. Our setback onto the, well, we call it the dry pond, but it's a public reserve, is the closest building is about 41 feet away from the property line. So there's a decent setback on that side of the property.
Sorry?
And to the north is the plan for the commercial condos, the higher buildings at the corner of Sage Creek Boulevard and Des Hyères Nantes.
Dave,
go ahead.
Can you hear the 41 feet? Is that to the south or the east? You're saying it's got to be.
That's to the south.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I would like someone. I'm not sure of the legal boundaries between Streetside and Qualico, so I will just say I would like someone from Streetside or Qualico to meet with me at some point. We're starting to get requests from the Jansen buildings, which you can see are due north of this site and northwest, people asking for benches along the hydro corridor, the walking trails. Frankly, the average age in Sage Creek is going up, so I get that request. So I can't mandate you to pay for that under this, but would like a chance to sit down and talk to Qualico about that. It's a fair request.
Sure thing. And my team that's on the north side have a better connection with the Jensen's property there too as well. And so I'll definitely make them aware of your thinking on that area.
Yeah, because I mean, it's one of the charms of Sage Creek is the walkability of it, and then it's not paved, it's grass, go through the hydro corridor there.
Sure.
Anything else out of the ordinary here? I think you're okay with the admin report that we have in front of us?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pretty accurate from our end.
And the landscaping requirements are not an issue? You're in compliance there with all the requirements?
Yeah, and I think we've added some more trees and landscaping, especially for the buffer along the property line for us, between us and the commercial on the north side, just to, we think that's a value added kind of move. So we've added, instead of a big fence, straight fence, we're going to do trees along that property line. So we're well over the tree and shrub requirement for the property.
Okay, I think this is pretty straightforward. I don't have any further questions. Okay, thank you. Do we have any other, sorry, Madam Clerk, back over to you.
All right, Mr. Hill, I assume this is Paige with you. Would she like to make a representation?
Nope, David has covered everything. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. So that was who we had registered in support, Mr. Hill and Paige West. Is there anybody in the gallery that would like to speak in support of the application? I do not have anyone registered in opposition, unless anybody in the gallery is looking to speak in opposition. Okay, I did have someone registered for information, Mr. Ben McGilvery, but he's not looking to participate, just registered for information. Anyone in the gallery for information? Okay, so that would conclude the registered participants. I think now would be an appropriate time for any other questions of the public service before we ask Mr. Hill if he has any last remarks.
So parking is not underground here, right? It's within the site, and it's more than is what is legally required.
Yeah, it's all it's all internal.
Okay. We can't, sorry, this is a question for our staff, Mr. Hill. So we can't, due to the housing accelerator limits on what we can require of developers, we can't require a contribution toward benches that would be off-site. I mean, legally, even without that, we might be in trouble trying to get off-site amenities, but.
Yeah, so pertain to within the site boundaries.
Well, we'll have a conversation about benches and area play structures sometime, but there's not much I can do about that today, unfortunately. Okay, I don't think I have any questions of the admin beyond that. Back then for rebuttal, such as it is.
Might seem a little silly, but Mr. Hill, you have an opportunity to speak in rebuttal to anything that you've just heard.
Oh, the only note, I'll just make the issue about the benches known around our departments here.
Okay, thank you. And we do have this, the one play structure that seems to have fallen between the cracks with the province is ironically the one due south of here at Sage Creek French Immersion. So we'll, but that's not to be solved today, but, and I think Qualico has expressed some interest in that, so we'll have to work that out. Okay, I think, Madam Clerk, I'm prepared to, here, okay, on page 3, right? Okay. If I can hand the chair to Councillor Ellard.
Sure.
I'll move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary carried.
Move that the receipt of public representations be concluded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary carried.
I'll move that in accordance with subsection 2473 of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and any applicable secondary plan. B, does not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining property and adjacent area, including in areas separated from the property by a street or waterway. C, is the minimum modification of a zoning bylaw required to relieve the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property? And D, is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. Supporting reasons, as indicated, this, I mean, Sage Creek has been out there for over a decade now, and, you know, they were trying to densify. This is just a field right now. This does seem in keeping with the other developments that are nearby, the aforesaid Jansen Seniors buildings and some of the townhouses that are to the west. It's walking distance to the town center. It's walking distance to transit. It's probably perfectly located in terms of walking distance to all three K-8 schools. The easterly setback doesn't adversely affect any of the neighbors because they're separated by a hydro corridor. Yeah, the variances seem relatively minor here in terms of getting this, and as Mr. Nahul said, the westerly variance is only for a couple of the buildings, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think this is, you know, you get people complaining about, oh, it's all single family out, like, maybe that was the case 40 years ago. But this is in keeping with the, we've done some pretty good multifamily stuff in Sage Creek, and this fits in with the design of the neighborhood. In fact, people sometimes complain it's getting too dense now, but there's still a lot of space there, and, you know, we've got, for the first time, we've upgraded the transit service up there, so I think this makes sense. So those are my supporting reasons.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary carried.
I'll move that the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in and the variance be approved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary carried.
I'll move that the public hearing with respect to this application be concluded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary carried.
Please note that the committee's decision with respect to this application may be appealed, and should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so is included in the order issued, which will be mailed to all persons registered.
Okay, so we lurch back then to number 10, the plan approval.
I'd say so.
If I could ask the staff if they have any, I mean, there's nothing, stuff in here about color, elevations, any concerns with the design issues here, I guess?
No concerns. This is in the village center policy area of the secondary plan, and it seems to meet all of the requirements in terms of pedestrian-oriented design, being predominantly multifamily, highly visible and accessible locations. So we have no concerns with the design.
As it plays out, I might have concerns with some of the exits now out of the town center. We have people complaining that we've allowed parking to come too close to the exits, so that phenomenon of you're inching out to try and see what's coming. Still we're dealing with that on Burning Glass, which is that street to the west of this. So I guess as this plays out, we'll need to keep an eye on making sure that the line of sight is acceptable coming in and out, coming out, I guess.
Sure.
But it's not on our plate as part of this. So. Okay, if I can hand the chair to Councillor Allard. Right, do I need to do anything, the variance, do I need to put in the condition about the variance?
I think that would be important, and just procedurally that we highlight that the plan approval would not come into force and effect until the associated variance filed comes into force and effect, because there is an appeal period for that variance.
That's fair. Okay, I'll move the Urban Planning and Design Division recommendations of the submitted plans, noting the condition that the plan approval does not come into force and effect until the associated variance comes into force and effect.
Okay, Madam Clerk, are we in order?
Understood, yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary, carried.
Any other business?
Had not received any new business.
That's unlike us. No motions, no last-minute grant applications. Okay.
Second meeting for that.
Yes, we do have another meeting for this. Councilor Chambers moves adjournment.
Moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that is carried.